Welcome to episode 286. Over the coming weeks, the Fitness Business Podcast is supporting you through COVID-19 with a series of special In the Trenches interviews. In part one of today's episode, you'll hear from Matt Wright. He's the Vice President of Personal Training and Programming at City Fitness, and he joins us today to talk about their online app Thrive and their new City Fitness Live product. Then in part two, I'm joined by Lindsay Bollinger. She's the General Manager of Brickbody's Fitness Services. And Lindsay talks about how she's communicating and training her staff during the COVID-19 crisis. This week's show is brought to you by our friends at Keep Me. It's now time to hear from our first guest, Matt Wright. It is my absolute pleasure to be introducing you to my very special guest for today. He's the Vice President of Personal Training and Programming at City Fitness, Matt Wright. Welcome and thank you so much for joining me today.
We don't have a crowd, but we can clap.
we can do our own crowd clap.
Yeah, it's great
awesome to see you, Maddie. Thank you. So, look, let's kick things off straight away because you're going to be speaking to us today, rather, about what City Fitness has done to stay connected with their members during COVID-19. But before we even get there, do you want to just tell everyone a little bit about City Fitness?
Yeah, so City Fitness is here in the States in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Really, we consider ourselves really more than a gym, but really it's an active lifestyle brand that we've been able to build throughout this. So we like to tell people that our community goes much farther than the walls of our clubs. But just a little about the clubs is we have 6 clubs all within the city limits of Philadelphia. 4 of them are what we call neighborhood clubs. So they're actually in some of the branched off neighborhoods. And then 2 of them are our signature clubs, which can be found in Center City, which would be right in the thick of it. So imagine dropping them right into something like a downtown Sydney. But, with these 6 gyms, we also have about 18,000 members throughout all of the clubs. So it's a really incredible operation. We've been operating now for just over 12 years. Started as 1 club and then took a long time to get to the second. And then our most recent club's just over a year old at this point and really thriving in many, many ways. So it's been cool to be able to grow with the organization. But what we really do, as I had said, is when we try to get out of those 4 walls, which is our primary goal is to make Philadelphia just a happier, healthier, and more prosperous city. We always get the rap for fried food and not being active. So it's been great to be able to make such a humongous impact through our members, but also the community and a lot of the ways that we give back. So yeah, that's City Fitness in a nutshell.
That is awesome. Thank you for taking us through that, Maddie. So, we as in JT and I have been kind of scouring the social media pages over the last couple of weeks to check out what everyone is doing during COVID-19 and what people are doing with their clubs and how they're staying connected to their members. And one of the things that we came across, of course, was City Fitness Live. And so I was hoping today you'd talk to us a little bit about that, about, what went into deciding what you guys were going to do, how you planned it, how you executed it, and maybe even a little bit about sort of what the feedback has been from the members. Do you want to share a little bit of that with us today?
I'll try to make it a little bit. So just like everybody out there we didn't know how to react. We always talk about that you want to be proactive, not reactive, but we ended up finding ourselves in this state of okay, first things first, it was we're going to reduce our hours. And then after reducing our hours, it was we're going to reduce the amount of people that can be in our classes. And then we kept getting wind of more and more information that, the governor's planning on shutting everything down. So really, we ended up shutting our doors. I believe it was Monday, March 16th, if I recall correctly. We ended up even closing. We were supposed to close at 9:00 that evening. We closed at 5 p.m. And we were just look, we're going to close. We're going to start to figure everything else out. And at that point, it was sort of just this okay, now what? So we immediately got the executive team together and we're all right, first things first, our team members. We want to make sure that we can get a letter out to them, give them a better understanding. And we've been sending weekly updates as the news started building more and more. So we let them know everything that was happening, making sure that we were taking care of them. And then after we thought of our teams, it was, all right, well, what can we do for our members? The very first thing that we ended up doing was actually not part of our City Fitness Live program, but it actually happened in our personal training program. So we partner with MBSC Thrive, which is Mike Boyle's Thrive program. So all of our personal training is actually semi-private training. So 99% of our business is semi-private, so 2 to 8 person groups. We only have 1% of our members doing private training. So we thought, you know what, let's see what we can do. By the grace of God, whatever you want to say, our partners at Thrive were already in the midst of creating an app that they were going to be releasing over the summer. And the 2 guys who I work with very closely, Bruce and Sean, called me and they're like, look, it's a Hail Mary, but what do you think we try to give this a go? So I'm like, all right, send me everything that you have. Let me look over everything and let's see if we can make this happen. Long story short, 2 days, we were able to end up launching it to all of our members. We sent it to all of our active clients who hadn't frozen at that time. And we were able to give them full access to the Thrive Fit training app. At this point, we offer 31 sessions per week through that app. We have over 800 active members who are still doing mobile and virtual training with us. We've now partnered with both Perform Better and Power Systems to have City Fitness Thrive exclusive equipment packages that they can end up reaching out, use our facility discounts, and have them sent direct from them right to their home. City Fitness, we actually refused to take any of the kickback that any of the organizations could provide, and we asked them to just increase the discount that our members would be able to have on it. So, I mean, when I say that it was like closed March 16th and then March 18th, we launched that app. I mean, we got all of our personal coaches together. We started training them on how to run the app. We taught every single one of them how to run Zoom. And that's where we did the workouts through. So you had the app to be able to see the actual workouts if you couldn't make the live events, but you could also log them and also put in the details within your app, just like any other tracker that you would ever use. So if you weren't able to make the live workout, you could go right into the app, find it, log your workout. If you could attend one of the live sessions, you would go in and you would come onto a Zoom screen just like what you and I have here. And we have AM or PM coaches. So if you're at our Fishtown Club, you have the 4 AM coaches, all there coaching you. So imagine it's Chantal is the coach for the day, me, JT, Marissa, and Chris. We're the supporting coaches, and we're making sure that we're coaching everybody at their own pace to be like, oh, all right, JP, try to make sure that you're pushing through your heels in your squat, or like, whoever it is, you can push a little bit more. So,
I've got to jump in because I've got all these questions popping into my head. So a couple of questions, Maddie. So you were able to keep your trainers employed to a degree by scheduling them into these online sessions. Is that right?
Yes. Every single person at City Fitness is still being paid right now.
Wow. Amazing. And sorry if I missed this earlier, the cost to members to use the app and do the training, how did you work that out? How did you relay that information to them, and how does it compare to their normal membership prices?
For sure. So what we ended up doing was we gave everyone access. We wanted them to be able to realize that there was going to be kinks on our end, because we were trying to troubleshoot and figure out along the way. So we said, look, here it is. Come check it out, see what you think. And then what we ended up doing was, after some time, we came up with an updated terms of use to send to everyone and said, look, at this point, if you're going to continue to support your coach, continue to support City Fitness, these are our updated terms of use. Please make sure that you read through everything, sign off, and we'll continue to keep your current agreement. However, at this time, we're going to offer you unlimited training. So we were able to actually stack value into it by allowing people to increase the amount of times that they were coaching with us. And it's, like I said, it's worked out really well. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not 100% usage at this time, but I'd have to run the numbers, but I bet you we're probably about 70% of all of our clients who are still actively working with us.
Okay, Maddie, so now that we've had a look at Thrive, talk to us about City Fitness Live. What have you guys done with that?
So City Fitness Live is awesome. I'm not going to lie. It's look at the smile on my face right now. When we launched Thrive 2 days after closure, we knew that we had to get our studios up and running. So like many of us, we immediately ran to Instagram. I worked with my studio directors we have a Burn studio, a Focus studio, a Shift studio, and a WeFit studio. I'll explain each of them. But I reached out to them and I'm like, look, we have to keep being able to deliver these workouts to our members. So we started putting together 4 workouts a day on Instagram Live. We knew that was going to be the best amount of participation. So we wanted to keep people connected. So we did that for, I guess it was about a week and a half or 2 weeks before we were able to actually launch the City Fitness Live platform. So the great part about it is we got all the data that we needed. So like what times were working out really well that people wanted, what got the most amount of people. Like we were pulling over 150 people at 12:15 in the middle of the day, and then 5:30 was sometimes getting 250, 300, 400 people. I mean, I'll never forget our WeFit director had gotten a DM from somebody in Italy and was like, that was the most amazing workout ever. Thank you so much. We had somebody else who was in San Francisco who they were a friend of one of our members and was told to come check out one of our foundation's yoga classes. So, I mean, we really took that time on Instagram Live to figure out what we wanted to do with City Fitness Live. So as I had shared, we have 4 studios. Burn, which is going to be your strength, cardio, endurance, dance. So like think Les Mills, we have Fit Body. Then we have our Zumba classes, active adult fusion, hip hop, cardio, boxing, all the different things that you can think of in Burn. Then we have Focus, which is our mind body, so yoga, Pilates. Shift is our cycling program. And then I came up with the idea of calling it shifting gears. So you're training the muscles that you would typically use in a cycling class. So it's a lot of core type of stuff, knees through chest, lower body, upper body strengthening. And then WeFit. So WeFit's our large boutique concept within City Fitness. That's actually like an elevated membership we offer. They have their own designated 2,000 square feet studios. And so it's WeFit is functional interval training. So we built these 4 platforms that people can go onto, and it's on-demand programming that you can have access to every video that we've ever shot. But not only is it on demand, we offer 34 live sessions per week for current members who are paying their membership through this shutdown. We gave every single one of them free access to City Fitness Live at this time as a thank you. And in saying that, we're also giving them back the credits towards their membership. So they're not losing money. They're paying their dues at this time, but we're actually giving it back to them. And we're giving it back to them in a way that through City Fitness Rewards, that they could put it towards anything they wanted. If you want to put it towards your membership, great. If you want to put it towards Thrive, you can put it towards Thrive. If you want apparel, if you want juice bar for the next 20 shakes that you end up getting. So we're allowing them the opportunity to be able to think of how they're going to invest their money in this time by supporting our community. So I think all of those things working hand in hand has really made this so special. So we let all of those members know, look, we built City Fitness Live for you, which I think was 11 days after we closed, this entire platform was built. And we then also added the ability for it to be a subscription service. So for $10 per week, you can enroll into City Fitness Live, and it's just as though you were signing up for an app in your phone. You can do it on a weekly basis. It'll just continue to roll over. But, we've had a good bit of people, I'll just call it right now, sign up for the subscription program. And we have a few thousand of our members who have already elected to enroll in it as well. So,
amazing.
What makes it different, though, from just offering our studio classes is we're coming up with some pretty cool themes. So like this upcoming week, we have Man Crush Monday. We have a Women Crush Wednesday where it's featuring all male artists Monday, all women artists Wednesday. We have an 80s throwback Thursday theme throughout the day. And every Friday night at 5:30, we throw a surprise workout. So last Friday's workout was a pajama party where everybody dressed up in their pajamas and their onesies. And then this week, I probably am releasing it a little bit, but maybe this won't release yet. But we're doing a homage to Richard Simmons. With, one of
Oh,
our coaches is going to dress up like Richard
that's
Simmons.
awesome. I mean, all of those are so much fun. I
Yeah,
love all of
so
those things.
yeah, it's been a lot of fun. So once again, and I continue to give props because they always say that you learn a lot about people whenever you're faced with adversity like we're facing. And once again, the directors that oversee, so our group fitness program isn't overseen by one director. So we have one director for Burn, one for Focus, Shift, We Fit. So I'm going to say it because they deserve the credit, but Regina, Marin, Abby, and John are all, as we call them, unicorns, because they're in that top 1% of just all of their talents that they bring. And then the other question people are probably going to wonder is, well, how the heck do they teach 34 classes? We have leads for every single one of our studios. So we have people that we've elevated in their roles that typically will help us with training development, onboarding, making sure that when they go through the hiring process, they help with auditions, they help with the coaching, because it's usually like a 4-week process before we let somebody teach for us. So those leads typically oversee that piece of it. But now, since they're in the elevated role, we've reached out to them. So as this continues to build, like I said, we're now at 34 classes that we run each week. But the next is when we need more instructors, we're going old school and we're going names out of a hat. So it's like, look, Chantal, you want to go? Put your name in the hat. And we're just going to do it randomized over like a Zoom call with everybody. And the next lucky 3 or 4 people will be able to participate. So
Wow.
the members have loved the variety.
Yeah.
I mean, there are 16 different types of classes that are being offered right now. And I can only imagine it's going to be even more. One thing that's cool about this is we're even filming on-demand only classes. So we're filming kids classes, which we don't even have kids memberships right now, but we're working with our insurance to make sure that we can add these. But we're offering Recess, which is 30-minute kids programs. We're also offering dance classes for kids and also yoga for kids. And then we have an active adult fusion class that we're also building some of those classes for some of our older adults.
Very, very cool. I love the themes. And I wanted to ask you, Maddie, that $10 subscription option, so that is available to anyone? Doesn't matter where you're located?
Anybody. I mean, I would even, it's worth checking out for people who are like, oh, I don't want to say donate the $10 because that's not really what it is. I mean, even right now, we're putting everything back to our staff. Anything that comes in right now is 100% to our staff. We're taking zero profits through this. But it's really neat to check out because you can go on and you can click the studio of your choice. So if I pick Burn, I can go through and I can see our bar class or Fit Body, or I can go to yoga, see foundations. I can see meditation. I can see shoulder opener, all the different ones that you can think of. It's just like as if you're going to go into your Netflix or Hulu and pick your favorite TV show. You can pick your favorite studio, go check out, and you can work out at any time. I mean, Friday night I jumped in. What did I do? Friday I did a Thrive session. Thursday I did a We Fit session. Yeah. And then actually 2 hours ago we had a candlelight yoga.
Oh, how beautiful. You know what? I love how fast to move and how innovative the fitness industry has been. And like hearing about City Fitness Live is the best example of that. Like it's pretty incredible what we're capable of when you kind of faced with a challenge like this, and nobody could have ever expected that we'd be faced with a challenge like this. So just congratulations to all of the team at City Fitness, because that is phenomenal to be able to turn that around.
It is every single one of us. Like every single person who wears the City Fitness badge, like this is why all of this was able to, make this happen, from our CEO to whatever other position that you could possibly say. I mean, and I got to say, our marketing team did a bang up job on being able to work with our developer. Our developer is actually in California. So, to my understanding, I think he has 3 or 4 kids, and he was pulling like 12, 14-hour days and being able to try the platform, work out the kinks, figure out subscriptions, and then we had to film all the programs. But what's cool is when you think about it, when you're running 34 live sessions, you're adding 34 sessions per week to that library. So after our first month, let's see how quick my math is, 64 and 68, 136. You have 136 workouts to choose from. after 4 weeks time.
It's just, a couple of weeks in. We're only kind of early days as well, which is amazing. So that is phenomenal. So
our 1 week mark was this past Thursday or Friday.
Right. Awesome. So now we know about Thrive, and now we know about City Fitness Live, and so many amazing options that you've got for your members and beyond the current membership. Do you want to leave us today, because you've got a huge amount of experience in this area now? I think we can say that 4 weeks in, you've got a huge amount of experience in this area, because nobody's got more. We're all in the same boat.
Yeah, I have a PhD in reactive.
I think a lot of people do right now. So do you want to leave us with our Keep Me Fit inspiration? Maddie, do you want to just share what is that number one piece of advice that you would give to everyone on how they can stay connected with their members throughout this current period of time?
I think first comes first is I think we all have to ask ourselves in our position, which is to ground ourselves and remember why we're doing what we're doing. So as reactive as we were, we knew that our primary goal was make Philadelphia a happier, healthier, more prosperous city. So I think that helped us in all of this. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, how do you go from running a mile a minute then to put yourself on slow-mo, because you can't just react. Like we always said, it wasn't even like ready, aim, fire. It was kind of like fire. It was like aim, fire, aim. There was never any sort of madness to it. So I think it's like, remember your roots and why you're doing what you're doing. And that's for all the owners and operators, managers, whoever you are out there. But I think when it comes to our members is be transparent with them. Continue to stay in touch with them. Remember, some of those people, whether they're coming to your club once a month, 15 times a month, the more that you can connect with them and continue to remind them of why they chose you, we're in a saturated business. And I think that when you can reach out to people and say like, hey, we hope that you're doing well. And that's one thing that we even have like our sales and our operations teams are doing is they're individually reaching out to our 18,000 members to send them a text message or send them an email and just say, hey, we're thinking about you. We can't wait to see you back in the club. Know that City Fitness is here for your support. So humanize everything that you're doing. I think now is the time when we can actually maybe take a couple steps back from the physical and remember the emotional and the mental connection that's part of the relationships and the communities that we're building as well.
I couldn't agree more, Maddie, and thank you for giving us that perspective on everything. And look, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been far too long since we've caught up and had you on the show, so really, really appreciate your time. And just once again, congratulations to you and all of the team from City Fitness on just getting these initiatives up and running so fast. And my biggest takeaway in all of this is just how important teamwork is. You know, like you credited so many people throughout our conversation today that have contributed and really worked hard to get all of this happening. So I think that's a great example of why it is so important that we work together, that we bring in outside resources if we need to, but just what is possible during such a difficult time. So Maddie, thank you so much.
Yeah, Chantal, this was awesome. I'm really excited to be able to share this with everybody. And of course, anybody who has questions can reach out to me and I'd be more than happy to help. But trust me, I'm far busier now than I was when I was in the clubs. So don't mind my response time.
It's funny how that works, isn't it? Well, look, thank you once again so much to Maddie for that. Now it's my pleasure to welcome our second guest this week. She's the General Manager of Brick Bodies Fitness Services, Lindsay Bollinger. Lindsay, welcome. Thank you for joining me today.
Hi, Chantal. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, we are so thrilled that you're taking the time to join us in the middle of all of this craziness that we're going through at the moment. So we're going to dive into a little bit of detail soon to talk about what you guys have been up to and how you've stayed connected with your staff throughout the last couple of weeks. But before we do that, in case there are a few people out there that don't know the Brick Bodies brand, do you want to tell us a little bit about the business?
Absolutely. So Brick Bodies is a chain of 4 full-service membership clubs in Maryland. We have 3 co-ed health clubs and then 1 women's only under the Lindbricks brand name. So we have just under 20,000 members combined for the whole company.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that. So we found out, I think JT was probably having a chat to you and kind of discovered that you guys have actually been using the Fitness Business podcast as a bit of a training tool for your staff throughout this time. So I would love to hear what you guys have been up to, how you've been using it, and how it's going with keeping connected with your staff throughout COVID-19.
Absolutely, you got it. So here in Maryland, we were forced to close, government mandated closure on March 16th. So we've been closed for a couple weeks now, and we are in the very fortunate position to be able to keep our full-timers on payroll throughout the duration of the closure. So, that includes our membership counselors, our personal trainers, and our management team. Now, while we're in a very fortunate position with that, we also want to make sure we're smart with that investment, because it is an investment that we're making. So a lot of our focus has been on really using this time to find the silver lining and to upskill, train, develop our full-time team, specifically our membership counselors, with the Fitness Business podcast. So we've been really using the content that you have on your show to be able to send out to the team, inspire conversation, takeaways, new commitments to things we're going to try or plan to do when we come back. And it's been really, like I said, it's such a different time for us, and we're all kind of learning as we go, right? I know that's true for everybody listening and watching, but for us, we're looking at this as a silver lining of being able to really focus on our people, because through them, we're able to come back better and stronger on the other side of this, whenever that is. So it's been a wonderful resource for us, and we're fortunate to be able to have the time now to really dive in and get into really good habits as far as learning and discussion and self-improvement with the whole team.
Oh, I love hearing that. Not just because it's the Fitness Business podcast, but because I am also a huge fan of ongoing education and always learning and learning new things all the time as well. So I love that you've implemented this initiative. And Lindsay, I'd love to really understand, I guess, the mechanics of it. So do you, as the general manager of the business, do you go about and kind of choose different episodes based on the focus, like if it's marketing or social media or onboarding, whatever it might be, and then do you distribute it to your staff, or how do you sort of physically implement that training so that, it is actually something that is successful and that you guys can use, in the future?
Absolutely. So I'll say we start with, part of our culture is about getting better every day and making sure that in everything that we do, whether it's with our teams, with our members, with the community, that we are committed to getting better every day. So from that stance, because that's part of our culture, that is something we kind of inherently have some buy-in in, as far as the commitment to ourselves to make ourselves better. Now, as far as using a tool like this, it starts with knowing your team, right? And knowing where their strengths are, strengths that you want to reinforce, or where their areas of opportunity are. And you can use, for me, I use some recent performance assessments that we had. I use conversations with my team and really just knowing what their strengths and weaknesses are. And then I started to dive into, just dig through, and I had so much fun doing it, but dig through content on the podcast, either searching for specific terms or looking in the preset categories to be able to provide some guidance and also give me some new ideas for things to cover with them. So what we do is we send out every single morning about 9 a.m. We send out a piece of daily content, is what we're calling it. So it's usually in the form of a podcast like the Fitness Business podcast. And we send that out to them. We give them a synopsis of what they're going to be listening to, and then ask for specific takeaways. And those can be broad takeaways. They can be, all right, let's listen to, like one of the most recent ones we did was Scott Stratton, Understanding the Age of Disruption.
Oh,
right?
yeah, so, great one.
Yeah, that was so much fun. Oh, my goodness. But for that one, I gave it to them and I asked them to listen to his perspective and then analyze the way that we, handle cancellations, which Scott Stratton has some very strong opinions about, which he shared in the podcast. So things like that, where we're not only developing the team, but also using this time to listen to material and then use it to kind of analyze what we're doing and how we do it, whether it has to do with processes and procedures or just outlook and attitude towards things. So, I'm having a ton of fun with it because it's the people business, right? That's why we got into this field in the first place. And such a huge part of that is your team and the ability to be able to give them material to inspire creative discussion or inspire some introspection has really been just fantastic for them. And it's endless. The possibilities are really endless with all of the content that's out there that you have on your podcast. It really gives a lot of different options as far as being able to cover sales and why we do what we do, how we do it, and then cover marketing and how we present our brand and things like that. So it's really, there's tons of opportunity, and it's really key to just have fun with it and make sure that your team is engaged and that you're also having live conversations with them about the material that you cover. Because, so much, yes, we commit to each other in writing and say, all right, I'm going to try this when I get back, or I'm going to do this. But then having the face-to-face Zoom several times a week, we do also to be able to make sure that we can have discussions about what we're listening to, what we're reading, and those types of things, so that we're really kind of taking in the material and then making sure that it carries with us when we come back.
That is exactly what I was going to ask you, Lindsay. So I'm so glad you brought that up. And I will ask you a question in just a second. But as we're talking right now, I actually just want to quickly share the homepage of the website. And hopefully everyone can see this at the moment, because, Lindsay, you were just talking about kind of different categories. And, for example, I'm just on the homepage of the website, and you mentioned Scott Stratton. So if anyone wants to sort of look for a particular person, like a particular presenter that we've had on, a guest that we've had on, you can search for them in the search field right there. Lindsay, can you see my podcast screen at the moment? Excellent. So hopefully you guys can see it. I think this should be recording okay, so you can dive in. Man, he was so much fun, wasn't he? I had so much fun recording that interview. Like, seriously, I was so bummed that I didn't get to see him at Ursa, since we didn't have Ursa this year. I was really upset.
It was such a shame, but I was so happy to get to be able to at least hear him.
At least listen. Yeah, totally. And then the other section that you just talked about is this one here, which is search shows by category. And this, I think, some people may not know about this, but it's a really easy way to go, okay, well, this week we're going to work with our team on, maybe I want to work with them on marketing, which was one of the ones that you brought up. And then if you click through there, you can see straight away there are 68 shows where we have some type of a focus on marketing. Now, it might not be the primary focus of the show. It might be like a sub-focus, or sometimes it might be the main focus. It depends from show to show, but you can effectively do that. There you go. The first thing that comes up is the $1 a day Facebook ad strategy with Dennis Yu. So you guys can search by category, or you can just jump in there. You can type in a keyword, type in a guest name, whatever the case may be. So that is super cool, and I'm so glad you talked about that, Lindsay. Thank you. So back to us now, because you just mentioned that you have this like Zoom catch up with the team, and it's this particularly interests me because we actually had Jason Stowell on an earlier video, and he was talking about the importance of making sure that we really run our Zoom meetings with an agenda and making it formal to make sure that we get the most out of it. So do you want to just give us like a look inside your Zoom meetings? Tell us a little bit about how you make sure, you said it's really important that the information that you learn is disseminated amongst the group, and so it's practical. Do you have someone that takes minutes? Do you have a chair for the meeting? Tell us a little bit about how how you are running your online Zoom meetings.
Absolutely. So as far as any meeting goes, and this applies to in-person meetings or Zoom meetings, we always have an agenda. One of the webinars we did earlier this year, they created this catchphrase of no agenda, no attenda. So we don't do meetings without agendas. We want to make sure that everything that we do has a purpose. and that it has actionable items that come out of it. So we set an agenda prior to each meeting that's usually sent out 24 hours in advance so that everybody can prepare, especially if there's some pre-work or things to review or think through beforehand. So we send that out in advance. And then inside each meeting, we always have a timekeeper and a note taker. And we review the notes at the end of the meeting as well to make sure that any action items that came up throughout the course of the meeting are documented so that we don't lose sight of them or they don't get lost, and also so that there's clarity on next action steps for everybody.
Oh, I love that. That is excellent. I love the organization around that. And keyword for the day, no agenda, no attender. That's
right.
Gold. That is gold. Everyone should live by that rule.
Right.
Digital meetings, like online or in person, that is brilliant. So, Lindsay, one of the things that you kind of alluded to earlier on is the fact that your team and the business is committed to ongoing education. This is part of the culture. So outside of using the Fitness Business podcast, and thank you so much for using the show as a resource for your learning, can you share with us any other type of resources or tools that you guys use that might be of interest to the rest of the viewers here today that they could also use for their ongoing education?
Absolutely. So we do Fitness Business Podcast. TED Talks are also fantastic. We want to develop people as a whole, right? Not just as salespeople or membership counselors, but also as humans who are, valuable parts of society. We want to make sure that we're developing them as a whole also. So TED provides some really great resources for making them just better people or more rounded people or thought-provoking ideas there. We do also send out blogs. There are some YouTube channels that we follow as well. But then in our Zoom meetings, some of the things that we do are role play. This is a perfect time where we have time to role play pre-tour needs assessments and customized tours through, some creative avenues since we can't get into the club, but we do spend a lot of time not only learning from audio, visual, and reading, but also role-playing and engaging with each other to keep our skills fresh, to keep ourselves practicing, and to keep our good habits going.
Oh, that is great. I love that you're doing role play during those sessions, and also massive fan of TED Talks. I could not agree more just how valuable they are for, whole life skills beyond just kind of the standard business stuff. So, and I would imagine for your team, that would make it interesting for them too, because they get the opportunity to move beyond just business or just club land to learn some more stuff that would impact them in their lives overall. So thank you for that, Lindsay. And I'm going to be super selfish on the last question and bring it back to the podcast. But before I do, as you were talking then and talking about the role play, have you listened to the interview that we did recently with Jason Stowell, which was on 7, now I've got to find it, hang on. This is a really good one, and just based on what you just said, I think you guys will really like it. There's 2 that came to my mind, actually. One was an onboarding show, which I'm going to send you. Oh, the 7 pillars of predictable sales success. Have you guys done that one yet?
So I have listened to that one, and that is one that I have prepared. That'll probably be early next week that we send that out to the
team. Look at you.
That was also full of tons of just actionable steps afterwards and tons of great perspective and material. That was
so
wonderful.
Much, wasn't there? Good. Okay, well, I'm gonna be thinking about it and send you a couple of bonus shows that you can use as well, Lindsay. So to finish off today, do you think you could share for your Keep Me Fit Inspiration? Do you want to share with us your number one tip for other operators and managers out there for getting started with using the Fitness Business Podcast as a team training tool?
Absolutely. So I would say the number one thing to do is use what you know about your team, their strengths, their weaknesses, or areas of opportunity. Use what you know about them to guide the information that you push to them so that you're making sure that you're giving them things that are directly related to what they're doing on a daily basis and the things that they can use practice on, or the good habits that we want to reinforce. But the most important thing, I think, is to have fun with it. I mean, this is in such an uncertain time, if we can find silver linings, like the time and energy and fantastic resources like this podcast to be able to develop our people, that's the most important thing, is to have fun with it and really remember why we're doing what we're doing, and that by making them better, we can have a bigger impact on the community.
Oh, what a fantastic message to finish up on, Lindsay. Thank you. And I just want to say thank you so much on behalf of JT and I and all of the team. Thank you for looking to the Fitness Business Podcast as a training tool. I love hearing about your commitment to ongoing training and education for all of your team. I'm so happy for you that you're able to still all work together during this time, and that you're making those really specific meetings and occasions to catch up and continue to learn and to continue to connect through all of this. So, Lindsay, thank you so much for joining me today.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you once again to Maddie and Lindsay, and also thank you to our friends at Precor for their ongoing support. For more COVID-19 in the Trenches videos, please visit our website at fitnessbusinesspodcast.com/COVID-19, the number 19 -videos. Thanks for joining me.